What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpollia sitting on the couch making some money investing in fractional real estate online, as usual. Today we're going to do something we haven't done in quite a while, is look at a new platform. These guys reached out to me through Twitter. They mentioned they have a test net where you can log in and try it, that it's not actually money yet, I guess is what it seems like, but they're letting you see what the thing looks like. But they're supposed to launch their first, what they're calling operation, coming soon. So what are they doing? This first deal, and we're going to take a quick look at it, but it is a data center in France. So we're talking about commercial real estate, and we're talking about another country. Both of those things are going to make it difficult for me to want to invest in them. One, being outside the U.S., I'm not very comfortable. I just don't, even though all 50 states have different real estate laws, there are certain things that are at least relatively standardized. And if they're not, if you go to Louisiana, things are crazy compared to a lot of other states law-wise. But if you understand one state, you're not too far off in being able to figure out the due diligence in others. You've got some states do lien theory title, some states do lien theory and title theory. Yeah, where sometimes, a lender has a lien, sometimes they actually have the title and it's like a deed of trust. So it's like a mortgage versus a deed of trust. So, we have these little issues within the U.S., but now going to a completely new country and investing in something, and really for me to be able to do the, fully understand, am I, protected in the same way, it's going to take some time, right? And maybe, it seems to me a country like France probably going to be a little bit easier for me to understand than some of the other countries that I've looked at, but I don't know that for sure, right? Because one of the reasons that Louisiana is such a standout compared to the other states is a lot of their law is based on Napoleonic Code, which, I don't know, maybe, which has the French influence. So maybe you're going to have the same thing there. I have no idea, right? And because I have no idea, it just increases the risk for me. So I'm not sure. I do have a friend who invests in real estate in France. So I'll talk to him a little bit and see, that maybe that's a hurdle that maybe I can get past. But I think a lot of you might, right? Because I know some of the people watching this already are in other countries, already invest internationally. So that might not be, a tripping point for as many people as it is for me, right? I'm just very comfortable with the way real estate is transacted and invested in, and the standards and all that stuff here. And I feel like you're able to get a pretty broad diversification without having to go to other states or with other countries. And so I don't know. That's all I'm going to say about that. The other thing, it is commercial real estate. I don't have even though I've done a lot of commercial real estate work, I don't have a lot of experience with data centers. I was in commercial, almost 20 years ago now, right? Data centers were not the big business they are today. They existed, right? It's not like this was pre-internet, but they certainly weren't as popular, right? And so it's going to be hard, I think, to figure out, is this a deal? Is it not a deal? There's a couple of things that they're doing there that makes that, I think, a little bit more simple. But they've got a ton of great info on their site. One of the things I'm a little nervous about, they want you to just connect a wallet to it. And I remember a few months back, there was that scam website where, you connected your wallet and all it did was just take everything out of there, and it wasn't a real thing. I don't think that's what's going on here, but if anybody has experience with the site already, I would love to hear some third-party confirmation that that's not what's happening. I haven't connected a wallet yet because I am a little nervous, but also because I don't necessarily think this is the right thing for me. I did give them my email because apparently you get 4,000 Lend points or something if you give them your email early and then you invest in the first thing. I don't know that I'm going to, but I figured, hey, it doesn't hurt to at least log in with that. So one of the things that I think regardless, so, okay, I'm going to jump around quite a bit. And I'm not going to go too deep because obviously I'm not using this. Their first deal isn't even live yet. Um, but there's a couple of things that, that I wanted to point out that seemed interesting to me. The first being, they have they tell you who their law firm is, right? You can look this company up and they're saying, hey, this is accredited and secure investment. It's done in accordance with, I think French law. And so again, I mean, I don't know what protections that gives me, what they don't, but it seems like that I would assume they probably have better consumer protections than we do here in the U.S. I don't know that for sure, but that's just the feeling I would get from them. Okay, they tell you a little bit about their team. It's from the Stakey team. I don't know anything about them. I tried to look up that platform, and they closed it down. And I guess that makes sense, right? They ended that deal. So I know a lot of you guys are much more into crypto, know that business a lot better than me. If anybody has interacted with Stakey, if they used it, if they whatever, I'm really curious to hear about it. Feel free to put it in the comments or put it in, jump in the Discord and let me know. Which reminds me, please like and subscribe. In the description of this video, I have links to all the fractional real estate sites where I'm currently investing. Just because I invest on those sites doesn't mean that you should. Some of them I would not put any more money on. Some of them I'm working on taking money off. But, do your own due diligence on those. And in any of the properties that I mentioned, in any platform. And then also in the description of this video, I have a link set up to the Discord where a whole bunch of us talk about fractional real estate investing on a daily basis. It is not a sales funnel. It doesn't cost you anything. Feel free to jump in there, join any of the conversations. And if there's a platform that you want me to add a channel for, just let me know and I'll do that, as long as it's fractional real estate. Even if it's one I'm not investing in, happy to have some additional discussions in there. Okay, yeah. So if you know anything about this team, right? If you interacted with them in their former company, I'd love to hear about that. They're also, have a link to this State Investment Partners, which I believe is it's a French, commercial real estate investment firm. It seems like they actually are in the capital raising business. They're structured finance. This is actually, when I did work in commercial real estate, I worked in this type, not exactly this company, but this, this sort of thing where a place that we did a lot of structured finance. And so I think it's interesting that they're raising capital online in this way. And so one of the things they talked about is and so that's who's choosing the deals for them, right? That's who's bringing them deals to put on the platform. So at least there's some sort of institutional real estate partner that is, bringing some experience to the table. I think that's smart. One of the things I've complained about a lot of the fractional real estate platforms that don't have any real estate expertise on their team. And it seems that like what they've done here is, instead of hiring, right, they've partnered with a company that has that. So that it's bringing that strength. Now, I don't know, maybe one of these guys also knows something about it. I have no idea. What else did I want to talk about here? So obviously my dashboard doesn't look like much of anything because I haven't connected a wallet because, like I said, a little bit nervous about that. You guys know I'm not a crypto guy at all, so I have no idea. I could very easily accidentally, give them control of this and have it empty it, just like that scam one that was happening not too long ago. I do think eventually I might just try it though, because there's a couple of things about it that I really like. Or really, the main thing is, let me see, it at least seems like they're going to be focused on high quality commercial real estate assets. They're not just like sort of bringing whatever trash to the platform like some of the sites have done. It is an interesting type of diversification, depending on what information they give us. Because I am going to want to be able to do my due diligence. But here they're like, okay, we just have a 9% APR and plus lend points. And I don't really, it's going to take me a while to figure this out, I think, and it's part of the reason why. I know a lot of the different, a lot of you are used to, and I see you talk about it in the Discord and in other Discords too, where, where you're staking and where you're doing different things, and you're, early adopters of certain platforms, and you get, rewards for that and whatnot. And that seems kind of, they specifically said they're trying to attract crypto users. Crypto natives, I think, is what they said. That's not me, right? You guys know that's not me, but I am trying to just share, the real estate info that I can. And so it will be tough, but once they have this data center up, once they have all the details, I might do a second video. I actually had, based on their message, I had thought this was going to be all ready today, but I guess it's just coming soon. I wanted to talk about a couple of things. Okay, so they talk about, this is the structure of the operation. We have long-term rentals, we have short-term rentals, we have flip operations. But it seems to me, and I could be misunderstanding this, but it seems to me that even, regardless of the strategy, that you're still just getting a bond. And so a bond would be a debt instrument, right? We would be lending, and let me see, which makes sense, right? Because the website's Lend.xyz. And so we're getting, where did that little thing go? Yeah, see, I think this is where we come from, right? Like, okay, so they've got their real estate. This is, I guess this is supposed to be Lend. And then we're these people over here. We're giving them our stable coins or USDC, whatever we're lending. And then what we're getting is a bond. And then let's see. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I thought this was pretty interesting. So, they take the assets, right? Whatever it is, they put it in a single purpose vehicle. I'm fairly certain that's what they mean by SPV here. Which is, or special purpose vehicle. That's what it is. Which is, just an entity that's, created just for this. And so then we get, they create a bond, which is, sort of, a bond is just a debt instrument, right? And so now that the entity that owns this real estate owes us money. And then they tokenize that bond, right? And then so that it's fully on chain and we're getting paid on chain. One of the interesting things is, okay, their business model, they charge 5 to 10% of the funds raised in the primary market. They're getting a 1% annual management fee on the property value. And then they're getting 30% of capital gains on resale. This kind of sounds sort of like, I don't know. It's a structure. It's not too far off from like a private equity fund for real estate, or even not too far off from the ways I've seen syndication structured, except for the 5 to 10% on the funds raised. But I don't really fully grasp how this fits with the bond model, right? Because if we have debt, like, okay, so the capital gains on resale, does it mean, if our bonds increase in value, or do they mean on this actual deal here? And maybe they actually mean on this deal, right? Maybe they're acting as, they're raising the equity for this deal. They're making the money that way, but they're paying it out as debt to us. I'm not sure. It's very unclear to me. And then they talk about like, okay, the equity participation in Lend. So, a lot of this wasn't super clear. Probably needed to spend time with it. I thought this was really interesting when they put up who their competition is. Realty, if you remember, they had, I did a video on them not too long ago. One, I don't get access to them because I'm in the US and they stopped granting access to US users. But there was also like the big lawsuit where they were on their Detroit properties, unless I'm confusing platforms. I've never heard of this one, an Axigo or whatever it is. In Fundrise, this is just not the same thing. so but that's who they look at as their competition. So, they don't have Mogul listed, they don't have Lofty listed, they don't have Arrived. Maybe they don't see them as competitors because, okay, those are all residential real estate. I mean, I'm not really sure. They have a lot of discussion about how, they're legally compliant, which I think is good. I don't know how that works, how their stuff though works for us, right? And so us being people in the US, obviously, that's not everybody who's watching this. Yeah, and then they mentioned their testnet is live. I don't know if anybody's tried this. I'd love to hear about it from you. But there was a couple other things I wanted to mention about this. So this is tons of info, right? Okay, this is their primary market or info, right? And so this is where you'd buy from them initially, but then their secondary market is a DEX, which I think this is like Lend's DEX functions. It's fully on-chain order book. Yeah, so I mean, I think like right away, there's not going to be waiting for this secondary market. I think that we're just going to, it kind of works like, I think it's what Sol's Lot uses for their secondary market too, but I could be wrong. If anybody knows about that you could let me know as well. But oh yeah, the legal, this is where I got the idea that it was actually going to be a bond. So, it's the SPV based structure. It's held in the SPV. Structure ensures clear separation of assets, but we, they sign a bond agreement. I mean, that's what makes it make sense to me that, okay, it's 9%. You're just going to get paid 9%. The only part of it that confused me was in that deck where it says, okay, but their business model, all those fees being charged. I think that's at the entity level. I don't think that's affecting us. I could be completely wrong about that. If anybody is already dug into this more than me and wants to share that info, that'd be great. But yeah, I just wanted to introduce you to the platform, find out if anybody else watching has already been on here. If anybody's connected a wallet and not had just everything drained from it, that would be really interesting to know. If you know about State Investment, which is the real estate, State Investment Partners, which is the French real estate firm, or Stakey.io, if you had experience with them. Any of those, that's the sort of stuff I'm kind of interested in finding out more about. But yeah, I do like that it is. So I think what we're doing is we're basically lending, but in the equity position, right? They're using bonds to raise the equity needed for these deals. Obviously, once they have that first deal fully live, this data center, hopefully we'll have a little bit more information, because I mean, right now, everything you click on is just empty, right? But I think that, once that's launched, we'll have a much better idea. Anyway, that's it for me for today. Just wanted to share that. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, hit the bell. And until next time, I'm just going to keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.